further ado, Mr. Denny Fraser.
Wasn't that nice of her? I was so amazed. Yes. And you know what? I did not actually do her wedding, but I got her to the altar. I have not been involved with a wedding that didn't stick. All of my weddings have stuck pretty darn good. I've got a good record, so I'm proud of that. There you go. But, you know, there's always a chance I do a little divorce law too, so if you I don't do any divorce law. And you'll notice I've got my 2 daughters back there, wonderful folk, and I love them to death. And my wife Debbie is not here tonight. I am divorced. So that's the way it's going to be.
She is.
All night long.
No,
I asked Debbie earlier on, I said, hey, you want to go to the South Carolina Yacht Club tonight? They're having a book signing and a speaker. And she said, who's speaking? And I said, well, me. And she said, I'm good. So anyway, I'm at a tremendous disadvantage with you folks. I am a lawyer. You know, I went to law school. I made it through law school. I practice now. I'm just one of these starving lawyers. And my disadvantage is I've had the honor of doing a couple of these book things before, but my disadvantage is I know a lot of you people, and some of you know a lot of my history. So the real problem for this lawyer is I can't lie. I have to tell the truth because I'll get called out on it by some of you here who know these things. So let me kind of start you off. You know, I went to law school, and you kind of think there had to be a process of getting there. And I had an opportunity years ago to get to know Lou Pritchett. Anybody remember Lou when he was a member of this club? Lou was with Procter & Gamble, and he worked with Sam Walton to create the partnership between Procter & Gamble and Sam Walton that created the distributional model they use today. And in one of his speeches, he said something that really stuck with me. He said people are always coming to me and saying, I want to get more out of life. I want to get paid more. I want to have more benefits in my job. I want more things. And he said, if you want to keep on getting what you're getting, you keep on doing what you're doing. And I liked that. That struck a chord with me because when you flip it around, is if you want something better out of your life, you have to do something different. You have to defeat that Einstein mentality that says that if you do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, that you're crazy. He didn't say it just that way, but you are crazy if you think that. And so we recognized at my middle-aged point that if I wanted to do something in my life that gave me a career that could perhaps help me through that middle-age period when you can't climb on roofs and you can't drive nails, you clearly can't motivate your workers like Joe motivates his workers. You want to go into something that you can earn your way off of yourself. So oddly enough, and this is kind of a confession, all of this came out of an affair that I had. Now it's not an affair. That's not an affair like our politicians have. It wasn't an affair with a human being, and I know that sounds a little creepy, and it also wasn't an affair with a non-human or an animal. But I've always been an entrepreneur, and most of my entrepreneurial concepts are just that. They're hatched inside my little head. But I started working on this law school thing. It was something that I had an idea that I would like to do. I didn't know if I could do it because I had that same lack of confidence that all of us, our age, have about going back into a competitive market with a lot of young people like these folks here who are very smart, very quick, very agile. They can stay up past 9. That's a plus, I tell you what. Staying up past 9, even 10. Now, they can also sleep until 1 in the afternoon, and have done it many a time. But that was intimidating, but I thought about that. I figured, okay, I've got the skills. I can read, I can sit at a desk for 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day. And so I let that basically germinate into an idea that then turned into a plant, that then turned into a forest of an idea, and pretty soon I was ready to take it to the rock. So I went to Debbie and I said, I know you're always negative to my really good ideas. The gerbil farm was stupid. I'm going to give you that one. I worked too hard on it. But I think I'd like to go back to law school. And Debbie didn't say no. And I said, come on, do your usual thing. Tear me down, cut me off at the knees. I'm ready for it, but I've got all the numbers, I've got everything. I think it's just like having kids. You do all that math and you think you can afford them. There's no such thing as a kid you can afford. It can't be done. So I brought it to the rock, and Debbie, my rock, basically said, if you want to do this and you think you can, give it a try. Because she knows, like, law school is a process that you just don't walk up and knock on the door and say, I want to sign up. I took the LSAT, I got through it, and Dennis made it look like it was possible. I did pretty good on the LSAT, which is kind of a hard exam. It was hard for me. I went back, took a couple of the courses at USC, and I did really well because something has happened to some of the young people. They've all got a 4.0 or a 4.5 or a 4.6. But they're not as competitive as you might think. So I did okay in the undergraduate world. I went over to Buford and did some things, and that was enjoyable. I got some confidence built up. So I decided it was time to let the law school know what I was thinking about. And the only one I could go to was the University of South Carolina because it was close. I had to spend week time up there. So I'll kind of relate to you. Who read the book? I know one person. Neither of my children have.
I raised my hand.
You're thinking about it? Okay. Well, you know you got to hit anything. But I decided that I would call them and apply for an interview. And you know that part. And so I called them up and I talked to the Dean of Admissions, and I later called it the Dean of Admissions, I called him the DOA. His job is to take 2,500 applicants and fill 240 seats. So he takes approximately 200 or 2,250 fairly qualified people, and they are DOA when they hit his desk. So he shaves that many people right off the top. And he fills those seats. I called him up and I said, well, you know, I feel like I would like an interview. I think you guys need to get to know me. And he was a really nice guy. He said, well, we'll set you up for an interview. We want you to come up here, sit down with one of our admission professors, because we've got an admission council with about 8 professors. Sit down with one of them and have an interview. So I picked an interview time. He set me up with a wonderful professor. I did know him throughout all of my time at law school. And I had put in my application. And so I went to Columbia that day, and I got there, and Columbia has no parking. Anybody been to Columbia? There's no parking in Columbia. There's not any parking in Columbia, and especially near the school. This is the first chapter, so you're gonna love this. And it is raining like nothing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm there early, I have an umbrella, and I bought a suit. And it's blue pinstripe. I looked like a Supreme Court justice. I wasn't a lawyer, and I may never be one, but damn it, I looked like a lawyer. I really did. I started saying, I wish I probably looked more like one. And so I park about 6 blocks away, and it is pouring rain. It's blowing about 30 miles an hour. It's raining sideways. I've got an umbrella. And I go to the law school 6 blocks away with my little umbrella. And I am being rained on. I'm crossing the street in ankle deep water. I'm squishing. And so I'm squishing into the law school. I am soaked. I'm wearing a blue suit with a white shirt that was now gradually turning blue from the blue suit that I was wearing. But the blue shirt went pretty well with it. It's about 67 degrees in there, and I'm wet to the bone. And so hypothermia is setting in. I couldn't feel my extremities, but the suit was beginning to dry out, and not only was drawing up a little bit in all the places you don't want a suit to draw up, but it was a nice wool suit. It smelled, wool is an animal, right? It tend to have a good animal odor to it. I think it's made out of a goat or a sheep or something. Anyway, I smell like a wet sheep. And I could smell it. I figured everybody else could, because other than the 6 or 8 homeless people that were in there getting out of the rain, everybody kind of stayed away from me. My ability to feel good about myself was beginning to kind of wane. Not rain. It had rained, but now it was waning. And I was waning there. And so I figured, okay, last thing before I go upstairs on the elevator, meet with this guy, I'm going to go to the men's room. And there's one downstairs in the law school lobby. And I went to the men's room. Are y'all familiar with zippers?
Of course.
Yeah, but the concept of a zipper. All right. There's a thing. There's a thing on the bottom. It's a brand new suit. It hasn't been tested by anybody. All right, there's a thing on the bottom of the zipper that keeps the zipper from going off. That thing by somebody in China, that thing was not there. And so the little zipper thing came off. I don't know, anybody had a life experience with trying to get a zipper back on? I can tell you right now, don't waste your time, because you're going to get mad. You're going to then be cursing in a public restroom, more or less at your midsection, with people walking in going, why is this guy yelling at himself while he's trying to make the zipper work? So now I've got a zipper that won't work. My pants are unzipped, I'm soaking wet, I smell like a sheep. Now, I had gone on to Google, because that was new at the time, and I had looked up how to interview properly. None of these things were suggested. None of them were suggested. Be as dry as you can, be as odor-free as you can, have clothes that fit and aren't really tight and pinching in places, and more or less have your private parts covered. So I go up, and I've got one of the things it did say, carry a portfolio or a pad with you so you look like you're ready to take notes. That was part of the, you're supposed to ask questions in an interview now. And so you're ready and you're taking notes. I've got notes. So I've got a pad with me. And so I'm walking like this. It's complete cover for the difficulty I was having. So I go up, and all of the offices that these professors, and Ed, you know them, all of the offices that these professors have are hovels. I don't know, they get their mail, they throw them on the desk, they work 3 hours a day, so they don't have time to actually clean up, apparently. And I thought, okay, these guys are slobs. And so I go down to the end of the building, and I open up the door into this guy's office. His name was Ralph McCullough, heck of a nice guy. And it is a mahogany, gorgeous, it is a law office. He obviously was somebody there, I don't know who. Everything put away, he had on the French cuffs. This guy looked so sharp. He was the opposite of me. He did not smell like an animal. I pretty much could tell that, but I did. So I met the guy. I felt a little sheepish.
That was good.
I felt a little sheepish, but I met the guy. I figured, what have I got to lose? I'm going to go for it. I've got my pad. I'm shaking hands with him. And we have a good interview. We're in the same demographic, not in the same economics. This guy's doing good. He's one of those professors that had a real job and came in and taught law school for fun. He kind of said one of those things like from Risky Business, like I think the University of South Carolina Law needs a guy like him. And so I thought it was great. Got ready to get up, forgot I had that book in my lap. And the book falls to the floor, and when I lean down to get it, there's an anomaly that happens with pants. They blouse open. And so I can even see. Bad day to pick tidy whities, I can tell you that. So I knew when I walked out of his office that I needed to go back to my good home. I had looked over that Google sheet that I had, and nowhere in there did it say to go to a first interview with your private parts exposed. Second or third, maybe, not the first. I just left. I knew that this was not for me. What a stupid idea. I was in reality now. God, nature, everybody was telling me this is a bad idea. You don't leave your family to go do this. You got one day invested here, go home. Anyway, next Wednesday I got my envelope. They accepted me. So that worked out pretty well. That was, I've already given you the first chapter, so you can just go to chapter 2. That's in there. And I thought you would enjoy that. And here's what started happening, and this touched me, and this is part of why I wrote the book. I have had the honor, after I got in law school, of having people, and I don't mean 2 or 3, I mean dozens, if not hundreds over time, people I knew, people who I was acquainted with, come and find me and say, I hear you've gone back to school to become a lawyer. And I would say, yeah. And the next thing they would say, but it was always a 3, the next thing they would say is, I could never do that. And of course they could. But they'd say, I could never do that. And then the next thing, they would tell me their story about what they wanted to be. And I began to realize that there were many, many people. I would say there are many people in this room right now, and it certainly would be no embarrassment in a show of hands, but there are people in here, I guarantee you, that had obligations, children, family, parents, debts, commitments, and they had something on a shelf that they were going to get back to, and that got away from them. And I began to hear these stories. I would love to write that book, because they would all tell me their story. It would be, I wanted to become an accountant, I wanted to become a lawyer, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a taxidermist, I wanted to be a taxi driver. They wanted to be something that they never got around to. And somehow I became their poster child. And that really made me feel good. And that kind of compelled me to take an opportunity to write about the reality of doing these things. And my conclusion in the book, if you should care to read it, is that there has to be a cost-benefit analysis that shows that the benefit that you get from something is greater than the cost. I felt that my book would be somewhat helpful to let people see there's a lighthearted side to it, there's a realistic side to it, and there is a reward for whatever you pick if you can stick with it and make it all the way through. So I'm reaching out to the whole crowd that's our age to say, I'm your poster child. If I can do it, I'm the Mikey with the cereal. If I can do it, anybody on the planet can do that.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Don can say something.
I'm the only one in here that's read the book.
No boy.
Oh.
So I can tell you all the lies I
All
want
the
to.
while.
I have to come clean. I do get a percentage of his savings. But I've read the book. And he's talking now about the motivational side of the book. And it's in there. But I guarantee you, if you know Denny, and you read this book, every word in there is just like he spoke tonight. It's him speaking. And I have had tears in my eyes from laughing about his statement in this book. So please buy the book, I need the money.
You had to put one in the other.